So South Africa anxiously waits to hear from the National Coronavirus Command Council's decision on level 4 lockdown regulations, which are due to lapse through the course of this weekend. The Restaurant Association of South Africa says if the president extends the stay of lockdown level 4, many businesses in that industry will shut down. The association is calling for relief and reprieve to cushion the blow. Let's speak to Wendy Alberts, who's the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa. Wendy, we speak again. Good to have you on the program. Give us an idea of just how much more damage to the industry you've suffered over the course of the past, 12 to 13 days?
The rolling list of closed restaurants is just getting exponentially bigger as we move forward with every hour. The lists of closed restaurants, permanently closed, are just getting out of hand. We certainly have written to the President's office, to all the premiers of the various provinces, and asked please to call an urgent meeting with President Ramaphosa to actually outline the hardship of what's currently happening in our industry. You know, once again, you can see as another empty restaurant. This is a place that was full of beautiful people creating moments for South Africa to enjoy, in a place where we can safely serve our meals and to safely be able to dispense the protocols. And everything that we have brought to government is just something fallen on deaf ears. And one of the critical things that we've definitely outlined and asked for is to please give us an indication of the scientific evidence that you've got that shows the assessment between retail outlets and supermarkets and restaurants, and how you can deem us to be more infectious than what the other areas are. You know, we certainly have got the highest degrees of protocols, we've got the highest degrees of health and safety standards, and yet we can't operate our businesses. So if we're talking alcohol, let's move alcohol to one side, but let's get our businesses open to be able to trade for breakfast, lunch and supper. What they're doing to us at this moment is inhumane, it's unconstitutional, and there's been absolutely no compensation for us.
You speak of putting alcohol to the side. I remember when you and I started speaking at the beginning of the lockdown, now over a year ago, with the initial ban on the sale of alcohol, you were saying it is particularly damaging to restaurants because that is where you make the largest margin of profit. So if there was to be an announcement to say, okay, people can come in for sit-down meals, but alcohol still cannot be sold, how much would it help you financially?
So one of the key things that we have to look at, we have to put everything on a balanced approach. And we need to start opening up conversation for conversation. So firstly, we run businesses. No other industries have had to remodel their businesses. Nobody else has had to become takeaways or bottle stores or change the fractional operational structure that they've got. So what we firstly ask you is, let us return our businesses to what we are. We are sit-down restaurants, sophisticated establishments who operate food trade to the public, who sit in an environment where we've got safe protocols that can be safely put apart with the social distancing. The second part, give us the scientific evidence that shows that we should be constantly isolated and our business should be impacted, as opposed to other businesses who have 500 people in a 1,000 square meter place, as opposed to us who have got 50 people in a 1,000 square meter place. The next thing is, give us a reprieve and the compensation that we're looking at to being able to trade our businesses, to give us a fair opportunity to be open. At this point in time, for the last 50 months, we've not been open. So we cannot trade at the small margins that they expect us to do. The financial viability to remodel our business at any one of the levels that they ask us to change to certainly doesn't work. And then the next conversation is, let us talk about how we can contribute to safely dispensing alcohol through being liquor custodians of licenses that we have within our restaurants. You know, in April, when we worked with the Minister of Tourism, we advocated that we can safely have people come and enjoy time in our restaurants with their families, enjoy a meal and enjoy a alcoholic beverage with it. What has subsequently happened is, this last level of lockdown, there was no consultation with us. And we were shut down without notice, without any type of compensation or any type of understanding. While we've gone through 15 months, where we've gone through so many different channels to open up different opportunities for us to trade and to safely show government that we have been responsible in bringing down the numbers. So to have got to a place like this, it only speaks that the Minister of Tourism has now got a very valuable role in the health ministry, hasn't had anybody else in the minister's department that has actually been an advocate for us to be able to get our businesses open.
And just on that, Wendy,
so backwards.
Pardon me for jumping in, just on that, you mentioned the fact that the Tourism Minister, Mameloko Ngubane, who's now acting at health while the health minister sees out his special leave. When we started talking about lockdowns, you were in fact quite complimentary, quite pleasant to each other. You said that you had the minister's ear. Is it her being moved to other duties that you have found has made it difficult for you as the restaurant industry to communicate directly with government to at least get some sort of audience?
Absolutely. You know, the Minister of Tourism has always been a great advocate for the industry. She understands our business model. She understands the impact that it's had on the lack of employment, what it's done to diminish our businesses. You know, when we had the million seats on the streets, she stood by us. She was there at the forefront of what was happening, and she had an understanding and a compassion. And immediately thereafter, the lights were switched back on in our businesses. We had alcohol, and we were open to trade for dinner time trade. So we understand that she has got a massive responsibility, and I understand that her role with the ANC and the government is far more paramount in managing the health system. But who is then taking care of the restaurants within the hospitality section, which falls within tourism? And we are now doing the job of government. We've gone from the onset to Minister Nexi and said, listen, we need reprieve, we need the tours. That is not our responsibility. Government should have had proper preparation and planning in place to effectively allow us to have had compensation when the announcement was made. Then we've gone to Minister Patel's door and we've said, listen, you've shut us down again. It's unconstitutional. You haven't compensated the people or the businesses. Please can you defer the lease payments and the bank payments, and please turn off the demands that SAMRO, SAMPRA and SABC are putting in our businesses by the legal threats that they continuously make when we haven't even got operations or people who can enjoy the luxury licenses that they demand we pay for. Then we've gone so far as the suppliers and the insurance companies to say, please, we need your support. The landlords have been absolutely diabolical in this last level of lockdown, and they certainly haven't played their part in maneuvering a relationship that is constructed to save their businesses. In fact, they're just taking back our businesses. They're a large responsibility of why we're sitting in the position we're sitting in. So, you know, they demand that we trade at 7 to 12% of turnover, but our expenses are 100%, and there's no relief and no debt relief or even deferment of any which way. And what the industry doesn't need, we don't need more debt. We're already carrying 15 months of debt, and restaurants simply cannot support the staff, and they cannot support the debt, and they cannot operate just on takeaways any longer. So we're really pleading to the President of South Africa, you know our business, I know you know it, we've had these conversations for 14 months. You know that we advocate strongly to keep people's safety at the highest levels at all times. And the public are calling to open restaurants. They feel comfortable being able to be in our establishments. They feel that we look after them when they're in our businesses and they're having a meal with their families. So it can't be either or. We can't just be closed or open. And we need a lending ear, and we need the premiers of the provinces immediately today to have this conversation with the President of South Africa and to bring reprieve and bring people back to work.
Let's chat very briefly about the Roadhouse concept, which you are suggesting as one of the ways out of this. How would it differ from what you have now, where people are able to dial in and place an order, come pick it up, or order from one of the food delivery apps?
You know, one of the things that's a big killer in the industry is obviously third-party delivery fees, and what is happening is that the public is catching on to the cost that it's actually impacting our businesses on. Some 37% of the small fraction of turnover that we are making goes towards the third-party delivery guys. So what we've done is we've seen a lot of innovation from beautiful restaurateurs who have come along with this concept of the Roadhouse dining. There's been magnificent display of the greatest levels of protocol and experiences for families to come and dine in car vehicle dining in a parking lot that's in a proximity to the restaurant. The problem with the concept is it doesn't lend itself to every single type of restaurant. So it will only be a benefit to some restaurants who can bring that experience to the public in a certain way and build a small amount of margin on it. So we certainly are doing everything we can. We're saying, please talk to us. We're innovative. We've remodeled at every turn, but you can't not compensate us, and you can't not allow us to work and to run our businesses. And you can't watch more businesses. As I'm talking here right now, I've got more WhatsApps coming through to say, unfortunately, you can add another 2 restaurants onto the closed list. This is absolutely inhumane. It's heart-wrenching to see what is happening on the back end of our industry. And government really needs to take a step back and realize the urgency. You know, we were here in January. We spoke to President Ramaphosa. We clearly explained the hardship of what's happening. Video footage was doing its rounds of decimation. And this is doing more damage to the country than what we would be doing if we were working together, safely advocating proper protocols and regulations.
Quick final one, just the number of restaurants closed at this point, and then how much are you pushing for restaurants staff to be vaccinated because they are among the most exposed people in the country. I mean, if I come in, for example, at 10 in the morning, there's no saying how many other people they will be exposed to by the time you close at 9 or 10.
This is exactly the conversation that we've been having since March. You know, we said we needed to have the vaccination expedited because we're a vulnerable industry. You keep making allegations that we are responsible for the high levels of transmissions, but you can't give us any evidence. So we said if we are responsible for the high infection rates, then give us a remedy. So expedite our people to have an opportunity to have the vaccinations faster. And let us start on Monday with rolling out the vaccines to the hospitality sector and allow my frontline staff to be protected and return to work. But you can't allow people to be sitting at home without any type of compensation. No reprieve, no UIF, no TERS, no support, no ability to work, no any type of support from any person within government. And the only people who truly are looking after our industry right now is the beautiful South African people. You know, they're doing everything to buy as many takeaways as they can, many takeaway coffees, many meals that they can. But there's only so many meals you can buy at a time. And it is also not what the experience of a restaurant is about. People want to come in, they want to linger, they want to enjoy the outside weather, they want to be able to sit outdoors, enjoy their meals, support the restaurateurs, support the waiter staff that work in our industry, and just enjoy the entire opportunity that people have got that creates this whole culture within the eating out sector of South Africa. And if we look at what's happening in the rest of the world, restaurants are trading, they're open. There's no evidence that we are a high-risk area, that we can't be able to safely open our doors on Monday.
That number again, Wendy, how many businesses have closed?
So the list that we currently got from this last lockdown exceeds 1,000 restaurants.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Wendy Alberts, CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa.